Hey, we're here. We're finally doing it. I'm here with a greatest man alive that I call five-finger friend for me. His name's Luke Hochevar. Luke, welcome to the show. How are you, buddy?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Man, I love this guy. I can't tell you guys enough how much I love this guy. He's meant a lot to me the last, 5-7 years? I mean, that's why I wanted to go back and, when did we officially meet to actually started training? I think you were still at UT, or how did that come about?
Yeah, it would have been, it was, I think, after my junior year at Tennessee, right before I went into pro ball, right before I signed, and I was here over the summer, and just kind of training on my own, and came in because I had been referred to you as the hip master, and taking into consideration I have hips like an 8-year-old lab.
And only he would refer to a lab because he's a huge hunter man, as they say. But weren't you the guy that did the whole the supplemental draft and the huge holdout? I mean, I knew of you and was like, I guess you had this reputation of, and you even said that was completely false, of you were holding out for this money and you were doing it this way, and you were with Scott Boras, the number one MLB agent, and you were the number one guy drafted, correct? So you went into a draft and then pulled yourself out of the draft, or you were drafted by a team, and you came back. How did that work out?
It's kind of a complicated situation. I was drafted out of the University of Tennessee by the Los Angeles Dodgers. And in the midst of those negotiations, there was another agent that had somewhat entered the mix and had negotiated some stuff without anything really formal. And so through that process, anytime numbers are negotiated or whatever. So basically, long story short, there were too many hands in the pot at that time, and I was a young kid just wanting to play baseball at the time. You know, I didn't know really the ins and outs of how the business really worked, but it was a rude awakening for me, and ultimately thankful that I went through that experience because I learned a lot through it. But ultimately, what ended up happening is the Dodgers had to withdraw the offer, and then they'd never offered again. So it wasn't like I had a dollar amount sitting on the table and I wanted more. I had nothing to sign, and so I had to basically go back, play independent ball, and then re-enter the draft, because through that whole process I lost my eligibility in the Dodger ordeal. And so basically through all that stuff, had to re-enter the draft, and then thankfully I stayed healthy and was drafted by Kansas City. But yeah, it was just.
So you had to sit out a year.
I had to miss an entire year because those all that stuff happened in the fall.
And what did you do that whole year?
I trained, and I came to see you about my hips.
And then you get drafted, right? And you're like the best guy on the planet, correct? Like,
supposed to be.
Yeah. I mean, you were the first pick of the first round.
Yeah.
So you're the guy.
Yeah.
And what year was that?
So I was drafted by Kansas City in 2016. Or 2006.
How old were you?
I was 24 at the time. 24.
Did you get drafted out of high school also?
Yeah, I was drafted out of high school by the Dodgers in the 39th round, I think.
Okay. And then
if I remember
chose UT?
Came to UT. I wasn't a big high school recruit out of high school. I was just kind of your average high school guy, you know, with a great opportunity to play at a great university. And I needed a lot of work. And also too, being from Colorado, we don't play that many games. I think 14 games in the high school season, just because we're fighting snow the whole time. But and so when I came to the University of Tennessee, I had an unbelievable pitching coach in Fred Corral. Brian Garrity was there as our strength and conditioning coordinator, and really kind of gave me a foundation on my professional career and just getting stronger, cleaning up my delivery. And so it was just a combination of a bunch of things that really kind of came together. The talent, I had the talent, but I was extremely raw. And so being able to work with Fred Corral there as the pitching coach, I learned a ton. I basically learned how to pitch from him, and really coming into college, I knew a little bit, but really what I knew how to do was compete, and that was it. And so he kind of took my approach and refined it, and I learned a lot, and then, was able to kind of come into my own from that point on.
What was your size?
Oh man, I was a beanpole. I think I was like 6'4", like 195. And then I think when I graduated, I was like 6'5" or 6'6", 210.
And that's what was that the same size when you got drafted?
Yeah, I was like, probably 210 when I got drafted. And then,
what was your playing weight?
Well, my playing weight before training here.
Well, I know that we had that huge year where you got to like 232 or 36 pounds. I mean, we were crushing it. But like your weight through, like, say, July, like
215.
What did you weigh when you won the World Series?
226, 228.
What are you now?
172. No, I think I'm like right around 220.
So has it officially been 2 years?
It has officially been 2 years.
Retired?
Yeah.
Right around this time, hasn't it? How's that feel?
Yeah. It's good. I mean, it was obviously it was tough kind of going through that process, and but also too, the good side of it it was a slow process. It wasn't just like, when I had thoracic outlet surgery in 2016, I was rehabbing and coming in and, training with you and really doing everything that we possibly could to try to get through that. But ultimately, one of the risks that comes with that surgery is palsy in the long thoracic, which 6 months into our grind, we finally realized. But I was never able to come off of that palsy. And so I had 2 years basically to kind of sit around and think about it, because I mean, I could count on both hands how many good days of rehab that I had. And as you know, it just wasn't going very good. And I just kind of saw the writing on the wall. And so I had a couple years, really a year, to kind of figure it out and see that it was kind of trending in that way. And so I was able to somewhat prepare for it, but I don't think ultimately you're ready until it's completely over, And so, through that process, it was tough, but it was also, really good and really encouraging too.
And what year did you have the Tommy John surgery?
Tommy John was in 2014. The first game of spring training in 2014.
Was that your first major injury?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think the only other time that I was on the DL before Tommy John in 14 was I strained my UCL in 2010 and basically tore it 50%. So I had a 50% tear in my UCL, and then in 2000, and it held on for 4 years, and then in 2014 it tore the rest of the way. And so I think those are the only 2 times that I was on the DL before thoracic.
Would you say you're in a good place where you are right now with what you're doing? And, tell me what you're doing now.
Yeah, for sure. Right now I'm in full-time ministry. I work for a ministry in Major League Baseball. And then also too, what I do is I work kind of. We team up with Peterson Outdoor Ministries out of Missouri that ministers to wounded veterans, and so I do in the off season, especially that's ball players downtime, and also too my favorite time of the year because it's hunting season, and so we have a farm in West Tennessee. We built a lodge in 2015, and so we're able to host. Veterans, ball players, all for ministry purposes. And so, I mean, that's really become, my full-time job.
And you're breeding the dogs. And the other thing you're doing, your Instagram page, which isn't your Instagram page, but the dogs.
It's the dogs.
What's the name of that?
Whistling Wings Retrievers.
Yeah.
No,
that's a huge interest and hobby of yours, isn't it?
Yeah, I do. I love the dogs, which, it all turns back to, they ultimately become a tool for what I do now and doing these ministry hunts and, just hanging with ball players and hanging with veterans and teaming those guys up. So they're a tool, and having 3 really, really good field trial dogs, that I use now to hunt.
Those are yours that have been in here, correct?
Yep.
That you compete in dog competitions and all that jazz, right?
Yeah, I don't actually train them. I send them down to Mossy Pond Retrievers in South Georgia, and then they run them all season. I just get them back for the fun part, and then.
Well, I mean, you've had them out here, and it's been amazing what they could do.
Yeah, they're fun. They're fun to.
And that's not a cheap hobby.
No, I mean,
that's the best of the best, right?
Yeah, but when you hit with 3 dogs, typically you don't have 3 that are really that good. They'll kind of pan themselves out in early training, but all 3 of them hit, and so it can get fairly expensive. Just sending them off to have them trained and continue to run in those competitions and stuff like that. But it does have a comeback. We just had a litter of 4 puppies between my oldest male and my female, and so our kids are super excited, and they're going to be super sad when they go to their new homes in 8 weeks. But
so I was going to say, like, hunting's your passion, the dog breeding's your passion, but I think God is your passion, the ministry is your passion. But it sounds like it, like you said, it's all holistic. Everyone uses each, and it's all the center core. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of cool that, like, the dog's your passion, the hunting's your passion, Jesus is your passion, and they all work together, and you do the things do you just do the one ranch? Isn't it? Don't you have another ranch in Kansas? But that's not the same.
Well, we have one in Kansas, and we that's more of a deer hunting farm, and we are. I currently have that farm up for sale, and trying to slowly move things out to Tennessee, but it's really cool. But I mean, I think also too, that's just kind of how God has used my interests, my passions, which is ultimately for His glory. And also too, that's kind of how God deals with me too. I'm not the brightest guy, so God deals with me pretty straight up, and which I'm extremely thankful for. But I mean, that ultimately is my biggest passion, is sharing my faith in Jesus, and just hanging out with dudes and building relationships, and I mean, that's what fires me up more than anything. I mean, don't get me wrong, when a mallard duck sets his wings, I mean, I get pretty fired up, and then we get to kill them and then let the dogs pick them up. I mean,
right.
That's fun. But I mean, my biggest passion is sharing my faith and sharing Jesus, for sure.
Oh yeah. And if you guys don't know it, if you have a chance to meet this guy, he's one of the best. When his walk with Jesus is, he's taught me tons in the years that we've been friends and handling our business training. But your grace with God is absolutely amazing. And I didn't plan the podcast to go either way with us talking like this, but it would be something that if you get a chance to listen to Luke, or if he's around talking somewhere at FCAs or whatever, you're a beautiful person, bro. I mean, honestly, from head to toe, I honestly love you.
Well,
it's amazing.
I'm just a turd that Jesus polished up pretty good.
And that's exactly how he is. I mean, that's why, I think that's why people gravitate towards you, because of your I don't know, soft walk, because everybody loves you for that. You're just a beautiful person in and out. And I can't say enough about you. I'm so glad you came to talk just a tad of what's going on in your life, because I feel like a lot of times when the athletes retire, I don't see them as much, and I wanted to make a vow to you and I of getting together for lunch and keeping a friendship. I know money's exchange and business, and we do all that. And, some people make fun of me as all your friends are your clients first, but as I got older, I found like that's kind of hogwash. It's like, I think they become family, so they might become clients and then family. It's not, I think we bypass friends, because we keep it real with each other. And this Woodgym and this office has been like our ministry, my church. And,
Yep.
I've had opportunities to go in all different places, and it's like, I just can't leave the Woodgym,
Well, I think that's what makes it so great about the Woodgym, though, is, I came in to train with the very, very best. But ultimately, the Woodgym ended up speaking into my heart and into my life, not necessarily from a training aspect, which, I mean, when I came in here and started training, I was at a crossroads in my career, and basically, the Woodgym saved my career, and extended my playing career for another 5 years, and just because I was to a point where I needed a change. I needed a change from a training standpoint, and I also needed a change from just a surrounding standpoint. And coming into the Woodgym, and everybody's here to train, but it's a family, like you said. It's a community, and it's a community that I have found that impacts you beyond your sport, that impacts you beyond your health or beyond your shape, and I think that's what's so attractive, to being in here and to being in this culture that you've created. Of it is family. We fight hard and we love hard, right?
Yeah,
that's family.
But I think it's the David and Goliath, where he's throwing his stones, and why am I throwing all these stones across the water? I think this sharpens your skills for what you're doing now, because there's so many different characters and there's so many different topics and stories that go on in this office. I mean, we've seen so many different events that have happened and have taken place and folded and ended and began, that it like sharpened, I think, your tools for what you're doing now.
100%, and that's what turned me on to the Woodgym, is it's real. There's no facade. There's no dance that's done and or put up in front of it, and we do this, and this, and this. There's none of that. It's just, it is what it is, and it's real, and that's why you get real results. That's why you get real relationships, and that's where you get real truth. There's nothing phony about this place, and I think that's what's so attractive, and that's why people come back, continue to come back.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing that when Harrison was training for his combine, and he went out to L.A. for something, the people came up to him and was like, "That's a pretty cool set that you guys set up to make it look like it's hardcore." And he's like, "What are you talking about? This is like, that's what it is." And that's what I found a lot, is like, I think everybody's trying to get back to the basics, but we never left basic. And I think a lot of the places want to try to make it hardcore like a wood gym, but I don't know if it is hardcore. It's just the wood gym. I wouldn't consider
I don't know how you'd buy brand new weights and get them rusted. I mean, you just buy brand new weights and let them out in the rain, I guess.
Yeah. But, you see that with state-of-the-art facilities, and then they'll walk in, they try to, spray paint this and put chains on that. It's like, that's not inside you, just like we talk with Jesus. That, if it's pretty transparent what you'll see with somebody, and same with a place. Like what's outside, inside, outside.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that, because this place is as transparent as you get. I mean, there's no false insulation in here, but also too, you think about it, transparency breeds transparency,
Yeah.
If I spill my heart out to you, you're going to feel comfortable with spilling your heart out in return. Obviously, there has to be relational value there, but it's the same thing with this place, and it's like the little book of talent. The guy travels all over the world looking for the greatest schools of everything, the best skiing school, music school, piano school, singing school, and every time he finds it, it's not the state of the art, newest stuff. It's just basic one room with a few desks.
Yeah, and for all you listeners out there, Hoach turned me on to that book about 7 years ago, and then I got robbed, and somebody took my backpack with that book and had everything there, from the money and everything else that was in that damn backpack. It was amazing that I just thought about that little book of talent, and that's what they talked about. Bodie Miller, the downhill skier, always turned down training at the state-of-the-art complex and stayed in a barn up in Maine or Massachusetts or something. And he's like, well, this is where I get my best work. And then the studio of the state-of-the-art studios of one singer, and it was like a box that she worked in the best, and not, the production companies and all that. And you were like, you got to read this book. It's going to be awesome. It reminds me so much of what the wood gym is. And I think people that come in and out of this place, it's either a perfect fit or not a fit, and that's what we worked with, is when we got to sit down. And I was like, you've been a wood gym guy forever, and I didn't make you that way, but that's what you came full circle. I mean, because you had the best of the best. All you pros have the best of the best, and the opportunities of working at the best places, state-of-the-art places, and it's still somehow the wood gym finds the real guys, what we call grit guys that are, doing the best they can. And I know we don't have a lot of time in wrapping it up, but going to the Game 5, the World Series, and watching you pitch up there was amazing. And that meant the world to me when you called me and said, hey, I want you to come up. I got you tickets or whatever. I know you don't travel a lot. I know you don't come up, but I want you to come watch me. And that meant the fellowship, the brotherhood, or whatever we want to call it. That was awesome. That was, and, bringing my daughter up there and for her to see that, and then just so proud of what you did, it was amazing. And, I went to the Friday game, Saturday off, and you pitched the Sunday game, flew back and got to watch the end of it, and then watch you get your interview with your daughter in your arms while you're getting interviewed. It's so good when you have real good people that genuinely pull for you. And that's what we don't find a lot of, is like, when you're not on top of the mountain, or you're not doing what you want to do for love and passion, it's kind of a disgruntled pat on the back of, great job, I'm happy for you. But when you find genuinely happy people, it's amazing, and I can't thank you enough, man, for being a friend. I hope, I watch your kids grow up and we keep meeting each other. And, I've made my mistakes along the way, as you know, and you've practiced so much grace in my life. It's been a blessing to have you come through my life the last 7-8 years. I can't thank you. Everybody, Luke Hochevar, he's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.